Kakadosh Boker Tov, we're going to start on today's daf is Daf Lamed Bet Amud Aleph, right? 32, right? But we're just going to start very, very quickly the Mishnah on the bottom of Lamed Aleph Amud Bet. The Mishnah said, "Aochel trumat chametz v'pesach v'shogeg." If somebody's going to eat trumat chametz on Pesach, which means, remember, truma is only to be eaten by Kohanim. So accidentally they came and they ate trumat chametz on Pesach, and he's not a Kohen. So he has to pay back Kenem v'chomesh, a principal, an extra fifth. The mezid, however, though, but that's like every other time, right? Which means that if a person comes and eats truma and he's a non-Kohen, he has to pay back the principal, the keren, and the chomesh. Chomesh is an additional fifth. B'mezid, if it was done on purposely, patur mitashlumi, he does not have to pay whatsoever, right? Udmid he's also going to be patur from paying back the amount, right? Why? Because there's no obligation of kapara, because he basically like stole it. So therefore, he doesn't pay for it. Plus, even the Dmei Etzim, which means that if it was to be used of Trumat Me'ah, which they could have used it, at least the Kohanim could have used this for the Etzim. Remember, you put it underneath your pots and you use it as firewood. Still, you don't even have to pay for that as well. Okay, so it says the Gemara, Tanan Hatam, we learned over there in the Mishnah, Ochel Truma B'Shogeg. If somebody eats Truma B'Shogeg, Mishalem Kerem V'Chomesh, he's going to have to pay Kerem V'Chomesh. Echad Ochel V'Echad Shadeh, doesn't know whether he ate or he drank. Lamed Bet Amud Aleph. We're now 32A1 at the top. Okay? Or if somebody's going to come, they're going to anoint their bodies with oil of truma. Echad truma tmeah ve'echad truma teora. Doesn't matter whether it's pure truma or impure truma. Meaning whether it's truma teora or tmeah. Right? Meshalem chomesh v'chumsha dechumsha. He's going to have to pay the chomesh, which is the fifth. And sometimes you have to pay a fifth on the fifth. So, for example, if you gave perot, you gave fruits to pay off the keren and the chomesh, and then they become truma, and then accidentally again you came and you ate this, now you're going to have to pay chomesh on the chomesh. You're going to have to pay a fifth on the fifth.
So it's more than a Masechet.
Yeah.
So it's almost like 2.5.
Well, think about it. Chomesh already is 20%.
Right.
So chomesh on chomesh, you're paying it's almost 40%. Yeah, it's like remember, because every single time it goes down. The first time it's always 10%, but the second time it's 10% on what's left. You understand? So, for example, let's say I have 100. The first 10% is maaser. It goes to the Levi, right? When the Levi takes off truma maaser, he's taking off 1/10, so he's giving off 1 out of the 10. Right. So now there's only 90 left. So when I'm going to come and I'm going to take off an additional 10%, whether it's going to be on the like the maaser sheni or maaser ani or whatever it is, I'm not taking off of 100. I'm taking off what's left over. So I'm taking off on 90. Understand?
89.
Yeah. You with me? Yeah. Okay. So says the Gemara, Ibaylehu. So we're going to ask the following question: Keshu mishalem, lefi midah mishalem or lefi damim mishalem? When a person is going to have to pay, yeah. Imagine right now you have to pay this to the Kohen. Yeah. So the Kohen starts raking in money. Right, he doesn't even have to be on the phone to get money. He just people just come and they what's it called? They eat by accident. They start eating truma or all these things. Boom, they have to start paying him money. So the money just starts rolling in. Yeah. So now the question is, lefi midah, does it have to be according to the amount of fruits that he ate? Right, that's what he's paying. Nothing to do with the value of the fruits, or according to the value of the fruits, so that's what he's paying. Nothing to do with what he actually ate in essence. Okay, so it says over here like this. It says in the footnote that somebody that's going to eat truma b'mezid, right, or somebody that steals and eats chulin b'shogeg b'mezid, for sure he has to pay according to the amount of money and not according to what he ate, right? Why? Because these are called a gazlan. A gazlan is a thief, right? He's allowed to pay back with whatever he wants, right? But it has to be shaveh to the gezela. Meaning, if I stole from you fruits, chas v'shlom, and I ate them, I don't have to pay you back fruits. I can pay you back money. Right, or I can pay you back something which is value of money. Okay, so this they actually learned from the pasuk of to do with tashlumei nezek. Ba'al habor yishalem kesef yashiv li v'lav. When it says yashiv, that is extra, so therefore I could pay with anything which is shaveh kesef.
And who's going to be evaluating the shaveh kesef?
Yeah, the betim. The betim will come and they'll have to do the valuation, because I can't just come in and say, listen, this is worth $1 million. Right. You understand? Meaning it has to be evaluated. That it's worth like that. You understand? So then he says here, however, though, if you're going to eat truma b'shogeg, since you have to pay back keren and chomesh, right? So therefore, and he says it's not kesef and shaveh kesef. So the question is, do you have to pay mishalem lefi midah or lefi damim? Meaning according to what you ate or according to the value. So says the Gemara, in any case where the truma at the beginning was worth, right, 4 zuz, and now when you want to come and you want to pay it, it's worth 1 zuz. It's not a safek at all. You have to pay according to the original value. It's not going to be worse than a gazlan. The Tanam will enter the Mishnah. All the gazlim they pay kashata gazela, which means like this. Even nowadays, by the way, it still happens, right? Sometimes it could happen, right, that you have, whether it's going to be cherries, whether it's going to be sometimes strawberries, right? All of a sudden, strawberries, they cost you $2 for the thing in Walmart, yeah? All of a sudden, what happens, right? A few months later, 2-3 months later, boom, double the price. It's now $4 and something for the same thing. What's going on? That means there's such a concept that the fruit, demand. Right? There's the supply demand shortage. There's when what's happening in the fields, the bad weather, all these things, they actually fluctuate and makes that it's going to change the prices. So imagine right now you had a guy, that he comes and he stole strawberries or he stole a watermelon when it's at $10 a watermelon. You understand? Well, Publix is always like that. At the prime. He stole it at the prime. All of a sudden, right? Finally, until they finally catch him and until they finally do everything, right? It's 2 months later, and all of a sudden now the watermelon is worth $5. So he's happy. He's going to give you $5. He's happy. He made himself a good deal. He knows how to do business, no? So says the Gemara, no. We learned in the Mishnah that when you're paying back something that you stole, all the gazlanim mishalmin kashata gizela. You always have to pay the value of what it was when you stole. So what? No, but they just come and they say, okay, when did you steal? This date, we're going to evaluate how much was it during this date. You understand? That's why they all come and they all find out what exactly it is. Okay? So therefore, that's a gazlanim. So he says like this. He says the same thing would happen for truma. Imagine the guy came and he wanted to give you, avocados. You understand? And it was a time when the avocados is expensive. You understand? And all of a sudden now, right, it goes down in value. So instead of going and getting it for, $2 an avocado or $1.60, whatever they could charge you, all of a sudden you have a deal, right, that it's like 50 cents each. You understand? So all of a sudden, wow. So it went down from, that's what it says here. It was worth 4 zuz, and all of a sudden it went down to 1 zuz. Right, mamash, went down a third of the price. It becomes a third of the price. So what happens? He says for sure he has to pay according to the original amount. That there's no why, because there's not any worse than a gazan. What is the question then? What about now if the beginning when you stole it was only worth 1 zuz? And all of a sudden now it goes up to 4 zuz. Right? Why? Right? The amnina that we tell them, greater mishalem. Right? That you ate 1 midah of truma, so now you're going to eat 1 midah of fruits. And even though that midah now is worth much more, or maybe you're going to pay according to money. Meaning, do I go to the monetary value or I go according to the fruit? Because if you stole 1 avocado, right, and now all of a sudden it goes up in value to 4 avocado, right? Or sorry, you stole it, right? So now, do you have to pay back 1 avocado, even though now it's going to cost you 4 times the amount? Or do you say, no, listen, it's value. The value costs you 1 zuz. Nowadays, I would never be able to get my avocado for the 1 zuz. I would need 4 zuz to get it. Doesn't matter. That's the question. Do we go according to what you actually took, which means actual fruit, or do we took according to money, to monetary value? Okay? So Amar of Yosef, so if Yosef wants to come and try to bring a proof. You understood the question, yeah? Everyone understood? Yes. Okay, if you guys answered yes so quickly, it means that obviously we're on the right track. So says yeah, okay, very good. Yeah? Nobody online is answering me. Everyone's sleeping. Everyone's there.
Oh, no, I'm here.
I'm here also.
Okay. So the only one that still didn't answer is Babachaki. Okay, late reaction. I'm gonna just yeah? Like picking on him. Yeah? Tashema. We learned in the Braita. Achal grogerot. Imagine right now a person.
I'm here. Don't worry.
I always said delayed reaction. It's okay, Jackie. Do you know that there was a whole question to do with are you allowed to answer on Zoom? Are you allowed to answer amen and all these things? Now, what's the entire question? Some people say, is there a delayed reaction or not? So once upon a time, right, when they used to do all these things, there used to be a delayed reaction, meaning that you were answering amen when the guy already finished, like 5 seconds ago, 10 seconds ago. You understand? Nowadays, it's supposed to be instant. Instant means that within a few milliseconds, meaning it's never exactly the same second. You understand? But it's so small that the amount of time, between one another, that sometimes with certain people's computers or phones,
And
it
depending
still
if you have
stays.
G5.
Yeah, 5G. Yeah, 100%. Okay, fine. Very good. Says the Gemara. Yeah, Amar of Yosef, says of Yosef. Yeah, he comes and he says the following.
Achal
grogrot. If a person is going to eat dried figs of truma, right? Remember, grogrot are dried figs. V'shilem lo tmanim, and instead of paying him the figs, he pays him dates. Okay. So now, the dates are actually more important, right? And they have a bigger value than the figs. Okay. So tavala bracha. He gets a bracha. Listen, you paid back even more. Tavala bracha. Baruch Hashem. Very good. If you're going to tell me that it's going to be good, lefi midah mishlem, they have to pay according to midah, amtu lehachi tavala bracha. But then it gets a bracha. Te'achi legriva de grogo de shav yazuza, because he ate a midah of grogerot, of dried figs, which was shaveh azuz. Vekayayiv griva de tmanim de shav yarban. He gave him back tmanim, which is worth 4 zuz. So tavala bracha. But if you're going to tell me lefi damim mishlem, they have to pay according to the value. Amai tavola bracha. Why is it going to be tavola bracha? Bezuza achal, bezuza kameshalem. With 1 zuz you ate, and with 1 zuz you actually paid back. So what's tavola bracha? You don't get a bracha if you do the exact same what you did, right? Remember, if I'm going to come and I'm going to give you a bracha, what does that mean? Bracha always means that you came and you did above and beyond. If you do your exact amount, I'm not going to give you a bracha. Okay, I would say thank you because you have etiquette, you have politeness, you have midot, you have 100%. Say thank you, yes. But imagine right now I'm going to come and I'm going to do this. Yeah, I would never do this. I would never come and actually do this. So the question that we ask ourselves is, what? Tavola bracha? You did the exact same amount, right? I'm not going to give you a bracha. So he says, Aman Abaye. Abaye comes and he says, Le'olam really pushes off the proof, right? Because again, what did he want to say? He wanted to bring a proof from here. He wanted to bring a proof that we don't go by damim, but rather we go by midah. Correct?
Volume?
Yes. Right? By the actual object that you actually ate. Right? Because if you're going to tell me according to money, you didn't pay back anything extra. So obviously we go according to what you actually ate, meaning the fruit. We're always going to go with fruit, not according to monetary value. So Abaye says, no, it's not true. Why? Maybe you are going to go according to the monetary value. So why do we say davola bracha? Because he ate something that people don't run to buy. The kameshalem needed the kafit salav zvine, but he gave him back something that people do buy, which means it wasn't the bracha because he gave more. He gave the exact same amount. So you're right, there was no bracha in that aspect.
Value.
Right? In the value. It was the importance. Meaning
equal or bigger.
Run, right, exactly. But it's people run to buy it. That's the thing. People run to buy these things. Right? The man. One is Zavuk and the other one has... Exactly. The other one has a value that people are going to run after it to buy it. Okay? So that's what he says. So according to Abaye, he pushes off the proof of Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef wanted to bring a proof from the fact that it's written Tavola Bracha, that we go after Midah and not Damim. Why do we go after Midah? Because if you go after Midah, you did actually pay back much more. But if you go after Damim, if you go after money, you didn't pay back anything more. So Abaye comes and answers, no, we didn't say Tavola Bracha because you paid back, right? Because paying back more. Really, man, you paid back the exact same amount. But what happened? You paid back something which is very, very, has a greater value, not a monetary value. Just people are going to run to buy it, right? So that's why it's much easier to sell. It's a better sale. Okay. Yeah, you could liquid it out. You could get rid of it. Turn over. Tanam, we learned in the Mishnah. We're going to try to answer this again. So we learned in the Mishnah. If you're going to eat Turmat Chametz on Pesach, Beshogeg. So Meshalem, Kerem V'chomesh. So again, this is what we just learned in our Mishnah. What did our Mishnah say? You have to pay back a Kerem and Chomesh. You pay back the principal and an additional fifth. It's good if you're going to have to pay back according to Midah Shapir, so then it's going to be good. Why? Because, right, you have to pay back exactly what you ate. But if you're going to tell me that you're going to pay back Damim, money, right? Chametz Pesach Damimu. Chametz has no value on Pesach. It's zero. If you're going to ask somebody, what is the value of Chametz on Pesach? We're not talking about Chametz that you sold. Because Chametz that you sold is not yours. So obviously there's a value. And if somebody's going to eat it, they have to pay back the goy. Right? And if the goy sells it back to me, so they have to pay me back. That's something different. But if I didn't sell it, and it's Chametz Shavan on Pesach, it's worthless. I can't do anything with it. It's a sulbana. So obviously there's no money. So what does that mean now? I would have to pay according to the meme. Obviously I wouldn't have to pay according to meme, because if I would have to pay according to the meme, which is money, remember the meme is money. Yeah? So therefore, right, what's going on? Obviously, let's go according to Midah. Answers the Gemara, Inachenam, you're right. Right, what does this mean? It's Rabbi Yosef Galilehi. Ta'amar chametz pesach mutar bana. This Mishnah is going according to Rabbi Yosef Galilei, that there is value to chametz. Even if it was Shavar of Pesach, there is value to the chametz, which means because it's mutar bana. So since it's mutar bana, I could sell it. So therefore, if somebody's going to eat the trumat chametz on Pesach, there's a value to it. So therefore, it's not a proof that you have to pay according to Midah. Really, you could pay according to Damim, which is a monetary value, and it still has value. So that's why there's
The
no
value
problem.
is like when you burn it.
Which one?
You're gonna get the firewood.
It says here, number 12. Yes, because it's a sur b'achila. So therefore, it's only mutar bana. It's a sur b'achila, right? Because Rabbi Yosef Galilei, he only said you're allowed to benefit from it. He didn't say you're allowed to eat it.
Right.
So that's why it has to be firewood. Yes, correct. Okay. So now the Gemara is going to ask on this. If so, let's see the safe of the Mishnah.
That's what they're saying. It's the meme.
That's no. It's not that they're saying it's the meme. There's no proof that it's midah. It could also be the meme. Meaning, again, we had a safek, we had a doubt. Is it monetary value or is it the actual fruit? Right? And then we keep on trying to bring proofs. Maybe it's the fruit and not monetary value. We keep on pushing it off. And then push it off and push it off. So that's what we just did right now. We pushed it off. We wanted to bring a proof. The last one was we wanted to bring a proof from a Mishnah that it does not have any value, right? Because there's no monetary value, right? It's a surah. You're not allowed to benefit from it. So if it has no monetary value, so then what is it? You have to pay according to Midah. So it pushes off the Gemara. No, we're going according to Rabbi Yosef that it does have monetary value. So therefore, you could pay back a monetary value, right? That means we have no proof that it's monetary value or Midah. Okay? So it says the Gemara, Yahachi, if so, let's see the Seifa. The Seifa of the Mishnah said, what happens if you eat a bemezid? You're patur min tashlumin udmei etzim. Eat Rabbi Yosef Galilei, if it's going to be Rabbi Yosef Galilei, I might patur min tashlumin udmei etzim. Again, if according to Rabbi Yosef Galilei, it's mutar bana. Mutar bana means you're allowed to benefit from it. You're not allowed to eat it, but you're allowed to benefit from it. So why are you going to be patur from tashlumin and udmei etzim? You should pay that back. You went and you took from somebody, which is basically the kohen, right? You went and you took from them this chametz on Pesach, right? You should be chayav. Because since it's mutar bana, right, you're allowed to benefit from it. So therefore, you could have sold it. You could have used it for firewood. You could have used it for something. So for why all of a sudden now you're going to tell me that you're patur from tashlumin? So says the Gemara, and says the Gemara, Tzavela k'Rav Yehuda ben Hakana, Yozak Rav Yehuda ben Hakana. The Tanya was learned on the Braita, Rav Yehuda ben Hakana Yoseh Yom Kippurim keShabbat liyan tashlumin. He used to make Kippur to Shabbat to do with tashlumin. What does that mean? If a person is going to come on Shabbat and he's going to make a fire, and the fire consumes part of your field, right? You're exempt from paying back. Why are you exempt from paying back? But since anyway they're going to cut off the guy's head, right? They don't cut off the guy; they do sekila, right? But the concept is they kill him. So since they kill him because of Shabbat, so therefore he's exempt of monetary compensation.
Right.
Yeah. Why? Because that's it. He got one. It's a concept called in Halacha or in the Gemara, kimle b'derabba mineh, which means we're going to give him the more stricter punishment. Meaning, in laws of America, civil court it doesn't count. Why? Because here they just throw counts. Meaning he's chayav 7 counts of felony, 3 for this, 2 for that, and just add on years. So in this, he's it's 2 years. This is some 5 years. Add everything up, boom, throw on him 117 years of jail. He can't even live for another 40 years. You want to give him 117 years? You understand? It sounds good. You understand? But we don't do that. We give him the more stringent punishment, and then that's why he learns his lesson. So now what? We're going to we're going to kill him. Now we're going to tell him also you have to pay money as well. So therefore we do kim lev derabba mineh. We don't give it. So therefore he comes and he says Kippur is the same thing, just like Shabbat. Meaning Kippur, there's no death penalty for Kippur. It's karet. It's cutting off from Hashem. But the same thing, if a person is going to come and Kippur is mechalel Kippur, so therefore when a person is mechalel Kippur, right, they get karet, so he doesn't have to come and pay back the monetary compensation. So if he was mechalel Kippur with making a fire and he consumed part of the land, he does not have to pay back money as well, because he gets karet. So now remember, what happens on eating chametz on Pesach? What do you chayav? Karet. Very good. So the same thing. Yeah. A person gets cut off. So if a person gets cut off and they get karet for eating chametz on Pesach, if during the time that they eat chametz, they also cause monetary damage, they should be exempt from monetary compensation.
Yeah, because he already got karet.
He gets, yes, it's a payback. He's paying it back with his life.
And the
So-
rest will go b'dei shamayim.
Yeah. Okay.
You steal chametz, you're too.
Which one?
You don't have to pay it back.
No, stealing chametz, yes, you would have to pay it back. If you ate chametz,
If you eat chametz.
because eating chametz is chayav karet.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So here the guy ate chametz. So since he ate chametz, he's chayav karet. So therefore he doesn't have to pay back the money, and that's why the Mishnah said that he's exempt. Because again, even though according to Rabbi Yosef it has monetary value, yes, but you get the stringent punishment. And since the stringent punishment is karet, so therefore they don't have to pay back the money. So says the Gemara, 1 second. So why don't we just say it's a machlokot tanaim then? Meaning the doubt that we had at the beginning of the Gemara, which was, do we pay back according to monetary value or do we pay back according to fruit? That in itself is a machlokot tanaim. Why? Because we learned in a Braita, ochel tuma chametz bepesach, patu min hatashumim midmei etzim. Right? We just learned this is now a Tosefta, so there's a Braita. There's not a Mishnah, even though it sounds the exact same as a Mishnah. If somebody's going to eat trumat chametz on Pesach, he's going to be patur. Right now here, there's no difference between shogeg and mezid. He's going to be patur min hatashumim midmei etzim. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri mechayev. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says you're going to be chayav. Yeah, if you eat it in shogeg. So Amal Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, he says Rabbi Akiva to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, v'chimana yesh lo ba. He says, what hana do you have? Why are you going to be chayav? At the end of the day, chametz b'pesach is a sur bana, and therefore it has no value. So Amalo Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Rabbi Akiva says Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri to Rabbi Akiva, umana yesh leochel trumat me'ah b'shar kol yemot hashana shemeshalem. What about eating trumat me'ah on the rest of the year? Right? Why over there is he going to pay? At the end of the day, right? It's a sur to eat it for anybody that's not a kohen, and therefore it's not worth anything. Right now, even though there he's going to be obligated to pay back kerem v'chomesh to the kohen. Obviously, it has to be because he's paying according to midah, not according to domim, not according to monetary value. Because so therefore the same thing. If somebody's going to come and he's going to pay to eat trumat chametz on Pesach, he should be obligated to pay the kohen because he's not paying monetary value. He's paying the midah. He's paying the fruit in itself. So Amallo, so Rabbi Akiva comes and he tells him, no. If you're going to tell me by trumat me'ah, but the rest of the year, that even though, right, the kohen has no heter achila to eat it, because it's trumat me'ah. Remember, trumat me'ah means that even the kohen cannot eat it. It's tme'ah. But yesh la ba'heter asaka, you could still benefit from it, meaning the kohen could still use it as firewood. Tomar bazeh, but you can't say this on trumat chametz of Pesach. She'en la bolo heter, there's nothing. You can't use it for anything. You can't not use it for eating, and you can't use it for firewood. Halamaz, what is this compared to? The trumat tuti manavim shetimah. It's like truma of tuti manavim. Right, strawberries and grapes, right, which became tameh, right, that it says that a kohen has no heter v'lo achila, v'lo heter l'asaka. You can't use it as firewood. Meaning certain types of fruits you could
Cannot be
use,
firewood.
right, to consume as a firewood. Well, you're going to start using strawberries for your firewood or grapes. You understand? So therefore, it's the exact same thing. So b'medvarim, one of these words, v'mafrish truma, right, when you're going to separate truma, right, from tvua that didn't ichmitza. And then afterwards it became ichmitza. But if you're going to separate trumat chametz from the chametz on Pesach, according to everybody, it's not holy truma. That means here we're talking about when a person separated truma from tvua that was not machmitza, and afterwards became
of chametz and Pesach, but they're not allowed. If anything, abar alav, the timing is ka'afra. Why the kohen wanna be fresh of truma? Of which is
no, it wasn't the kohen. It was the Jew, the regular Jew.
Fine.
The Yisrael was separating the trumat mina chametz of Pesach. So according to everybody, it's not truma. Why? Because there's nothing there.
Zero.
Yeah. So he comes now and he says Tanya Yidach, right? So now there's another Braita that wants to find out about the chiyuv tashlumin, right, for somebody that's going to eat chametz, right, on Pesach. Okay. So basically, we want to just to come and say that this is a machloka tanaim, and that's what it sounds like that we're finishing off with. That it is a machloka tanaim between Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri and Rabbi Akiva. Okay, fine. Tanya Yidach, we learned in another Braita. V'natan lo kohen et hakodesh. You have to give to the kohen something which is kodesh. Davar ra'ui liot kodesh, only something which is fitting to be kodesh. Prat leochel trumat chametz on Pesach, except for if somebody is going to eat trumat chametz on Pesach, that he's exempt from everything. These are the words of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Now, Rabbi Elazar chisma mechayev. Rabbi Elazar chisma argues on Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, and he says you're going to be chayav. Amalo Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Rabbi Elazar chisma says Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov to Rabbi Elazar chisma. Well, what's hana? What do you gain from it? You don't gain anything from it. Right? At the end of the day, it's a sur bana. You're not allowed to benefit from it. So what do you want? So says the Gemara, what hana does the person have a trumat me'ah during the rest of the year? The exact same braita, meaning the exact same shakla v'tarya, which means the back and forth, like the questions, answers, is the exact same. Amalo, he comes and he tells him, no. My trumat me'ah during the rest of the year, even though you don't have a heter achila, but you still have a heter asaka, which means you could still use it as firewood. Tomar bezu, but trumat chametz on Pesach, that you can't do anything with it. What do you want? So Amalo, he said, you also have heter asaka. If he wants, he could throw it in front of his dog, and then the dog could eat it. So there is ana. You could put it underneath the tafshil, the food.
So giving the food to a dog on hametz, it's an labal.
Of course. Remember when we say
we give it to him. The prior pages we said we're giving them.
No, that's only something which is mutar bana. For example, the lekerev tashtichunoto is to do with nevela. There's a nevela because since the dogs they were very good at us, they didn't bark, so they get their reward, right? However, though anything which is a sur bana, you're not allowed to give to them. Right? Remember, you're not when it says a sur bana, nobody's allowed to benefit. Imagine right now I have yain nesach, right? Yain that a goy touches. I cannot give it that way my dog could drink it. I can't give it to my cleaning lady. Somebody just asked me that reason. Rabbi, can I give it to the cleaning lady? That's not that's benefit. The cleaning lady now she owes you big time. You gave her a nice bottle of wine. Right? Think about it, not mushal.
And if I put it in the street.
If you put it in the street, it's permitted, as long as nobody knows that you were the one that gave it to them and you don't know who took it.
That's okay.
The reason why is because that means you're not benefiting.
Of being happy that somebody's enjoying it.
Yeah, no, or they know who you are, meaning that if you're going to put it by your neighbor and your neighbor is going to take it, he knows that it comes from you. Now, if he knows that it's coming,
yes, of course,
happening, so then it's going to be a problem because that means he owes you a favor, like he owes you something.
Or he said that he owes you.
You're right. So then you would have to throw it out completely. You would have to get rid of it completely. You're right. No, you're right. That's John Paul. You heard what Ronan just said.
No, what he said. What
he said that if right now there's a danger that another Jew would come and pick it up and take it,
okay.
So then you have a big problem as well. Obviously, we're talking about a place where the majority of people are goyim and so on and so forth. But if not, imagine a Jew's going to come. He's going to see a bottle of wine, kosher, not mevushal. You think he's going to realize it was?
Yes. So I'm not allowed to do that in Bnei Brak.
No, in Bnei Brak you wouldn't be allowed to. I wouldn't allow you even in Yerushalayim.
Go to Ramallah.
Even in Bay Harbor Island, probably wouldn't allow you. Yeah? Fine. Yeah, you get a bonus. By the way, you should know it's not true because the Arabs are very mahmidim on wine. They don't drink wine. That was one reason why, right? The religious ones. That's why we were able to buy olives, right? We were able to buy olives in Gibraltar or in Morocco, but not in Spain. Why? From the Arabs. Because basically what happened is that many times it happens is that they would use whether it's vinegar or wine, and the Arabs are not allowed to use that. In Spain, right, there's such an abundance of wine, right, that they make it a lot into vinegar, wine vinegar, and therefore they start adding it to all the olives and things like that. So basically in Spain, as a preservative, so you can't buy olives in Spain, you can't buy it in France. France is the same thing. All these things you can't. That means I can't just go to a Carrefour or to like a Publix and start buying olives because they probably use wine vinegar. They probably use all these things, and it's a problem. You understand? That's why the olives always need hashkacha. Think about it, pure olives. Why does it need hashkacha? No, because many times the brine, many times all the things, it's a problem. So what happens? Oil? What? No, pure virgin olive oil. No, right? But that's
first course.
Yes.
Yes.
Literally first course.
Yeah. That's okay.
They're the same.
Which one? Yeah. So what happened is that, right, he comes and he says, right, that the concept behind it though is that here, right, all of a sudden we knew that the Arabs would not drink wine. So the Arabs, we know that they're not going to drink the wine. Okay, so there's no problem. Fine, next. So says the Gemara, right, you could throw it in front of your dog. Says Lamebet Amubet, 32b. Amar Abaye comes and he says, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, kulu sfira lehu chametz bepesach asu b'nah. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, they all hold that chametz bepesach is a sur b'nah. Right? That means they don't hold like Rabbi Yosef Galilei that it's going to be permitted b'nah. Chametz bepesach is a sur b'nah. Uveha pligis. So what is the machloket? Rabbi Akiva holds the fidami mishalem that we go according to the money, to monetary value, and Rabbi Yochanan says the fidami mishalem we're going to go according to what you ate. So says the Gemara, Pshita. Obviously, why did he have to say this? It's pashut that according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, you have to pay according to midah. So there's no chidush, right? Because if not, he wouldn't have had to pay, right? Why would he have to pay? Obviously, he's going according to what you ate. So says the Gemara, I would have thought to say Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri also holds like Rabbi Akiva. The Amar, but he says that we go according to monetary value. The Hatam, and over there, it's because the reason why he says you're going to be chayav is because he holds a Rabbi Yosef Galilei that he says chametz is mutar bana, chametz on Pesach is mutar bana. Kamashwalan, the chametz on Pesach is a sur bana, right? And you're not allowed to benefit from it, and therefore it does not have any monetary value. But he holds kamashwalan the what? But he holds right that what? That it goes according to midah, not according to damim. It doesn't go according to monetary value. It goes according to what you ate. So says the Gemara, maybe Be'emet Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds like Rabbi Yosef Galilei, and therefore since he holds of Rabbi Yosef Galilei, that's why we say that it's going to be mutar bana. Therefore, that's why you're going to be chayav in tashlumin. So says the Gemara, if so, Nahada le Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri le Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri should have answered Rabbi Akiva, just like Rabbi Elazar Chisma answered Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. He should have answered him the exact same way. That basically you're allowed to benefit from it. So the fact that he didn't answer him that you're allowed to benefit from him shows that Be'emet he knows that it's asur to benefit from. Okay, fine, very good. So basically, we just brought that this is actually machloket tanaim between Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri and Rabbi Akiva, whether you pay according to damim, monetary value, or according to midah, according to what you ate. So Tana Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita, ochel kazait truma mishlim kerem v'chomesh. If somebody's going to eat a kazait of truma b'shogeg, he has to pay back kerem v'chomesh. Abba Shaul says that it has to be a shaveh pruta, which means that if it's not going to be shaveh pruta, you don't have the value. You don't have to pay back. So my time at Tanakama, what's reasoning of Tanakama that you always have to pay back a kerem v'chomesh? Remember, kazait is nothing. 28 grams. You know, 28 grams is nothing. You understand? So it says the Gemara, my time at Tanakama. It says in pasuk, v'ish ki yochal kodesh v'ishkaga v'achila bekazait. It says when a person is going to eat kodesh, the minimum of eating is always a kazait. By the way, you should know this is the general rule. Right, in all of the Gemara. Whenever it says the term eating, it's usually a kazait. And therefore, if somebody wants to say, I want to eat. Somebody told me, listen, Rabbi, I'm going to eat milaveh malka. Very good. Kol hakavod. Yeah, what did I eat? I ate a little tiny piece of a cake. So 1 second, but you didn't eat a kazait. You have to eat a kazait. You understand? If a person wants to do kiddush b'mkom seudah, yeah, you're right. It's hardly anything a kazait, but you have to eat it. You have to be careful. No, you know what? It happens a lot of times. Some people, they're on a diet. Right? Or they want to do gluten-free. So what do? They do amotzi on bread. They take a little tiny piece, they eat, and then they eat the other type of bread, the gluten-free one. Now, technically speaking, if it wasn't made out of the oats or whatever it is, you understand? And it's going to be shakol. So now, he didn't eat, he can do because of his own. He has to eat the kazait. And they have to be strict on that. You understand? That means you have to pay attention to it. Okay? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, afterwards it's an exercise. Now you enjoy. Yeah?
Monday.
Yes, he comes and he says, Amar Kavi Ishki Yochal Kodesh Mishkaga Ve'achila Bekazait. Abba Shaul my tamas. What's the reasoning of Abba Shaul that he said that it had to have a shaveh pruta? Amar Ka, it says netina. What does that mean? V'natan la kohen et kodesh. When you give something, there's no such thing as giving something which is less than a shaveh pruta. When you give something, it has to be something which has something of value. It can be something. By the way, you should know nowadays, if I remember correctly, we did an account. Shaveh pruta is less than $1. Just so you should understand. I don't remember if it's like 60 cents, 80 cents. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but it's much just like nothing. You understand? But it has to be worth something. Imagine right now I'm going to come and I'm going to give you a present. What do you give a guy? You give him 10 cents. You give him a present. Give him a quarter. You give him a present. Even $50. It's nothing. You give him anything. You understand? V'idach nami, another mandamar, which is basically not right. Gam natan acher Abba Shaul haktiv yochal. It's written yochal, which means that you have to eat. So it has to be minimum of a kazait. So he says, no. How prala maziku data? When it says v'yishki yochal kodesh, it's coming to exclude the mazik, which means somebody that's going to come and destroy truma of a kohen, or even if it's going to be of a shogeg, that he doesn't have to pay back the chomesh, only keren, just like any other mazik. Meaning anybody that's going to be mazik, he only has to pay back the keren, the principal. He doesn't pay back the fifth. The fifth is only if you ate it accidentally. Okay, but not if you damage it.
The mizid.
The mizid. right? So he says v'tanakama haktiv v'natam. But 1 second, according to the Tanakama, it's also written v'natam, which means you have to give. So he says, no, how baile there you need it devar ra'ui liot kodesh. When it says giving, it has to be something which is fitting to become kodesh. That's the only time when you could actually pay back the kenem the chomesh, when it's fitting for that, okay? But not of kesef and shaveh kesef. So from the fact that we learned the word v'natan, we're not going to learn from it that you're not going to be chayav until there's a shaveh pruta. Fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a braita. Zar, which is ochel truma pachom mikazayit. Imagine right now you have a regular Jew that he comes and eats truma less than a kazayit.
We're talking about the Pesach, outside Pesach, what we talking about?
No, not on Pesach. Normally. Normal. So he has to pay back the keren, just like any other gazam, but he doesn't pay back the chomesh. So says the Gemara, what's the braita talking about? If it does not have sheva pruta, so also keren he's not going to pay back the keren. Keren, the principle is only if it's worth something, it's not worth anything. Right? But if it does have sheva pruta, chomesh, he should pay back also the chomesh, the fifth. So says the Gemara, leolam, and right, the idbasha really does have a sheva pruta. And still, if it doesn't have a kazai, he only pays back the principal, but not the chomesh. Right? Just like we said back beforehand, right? That it's only going to be if you actually ate a kazai that you're going to be chayav the chomesh, the fifth. So they said in front of Papa, Hadelo Kabba Shaul. This is not like Kabba Shaul. The Kabba Shaul, but if this is going to go according to Kabba Shaul, Ha'amar Kevan Sheish B'Shaveh Pruta. He said that since it has a Shaveh Pruta, Afal Gav Deleb B'Kazait, even though it doesn't have a kazait, right? That's what? Even though it doesn't have a kazait, you're still going to be patur from the chomesh. So therefore, obviously, this is going like not like shitat Abba Shaul, right? Because if it was like Abba Shaul, if it has a shaveh pruta, even if it doesn't have kazait, you still have to pay back the chomesh. So Papa is going to answer to students, no, even if you want, you could still say it's Abba Shaul. Abba Shaul tartebai. According to Abba Shaul, you need two things for it has to be shaveh pruta, plus it needs a kazait. You understand? That means according to Abba Shaul, you need both. It has to be shaveh pruta plus a kazait. Right, the shaveh pruta is the monetary value. The kazait is the volume of what you're going to eat. So says the Gemara, you need both. So says the Gemara, mibaya ba shaul tarte. Does the bashul actually hold that you need both in order to pay back the fifth? Vatanya, we learned in the Braita. Abba Shaul says, if somebody's going to eat, right, food of truma b'shogeg, et sheyesh bo shaveh pruta, if it has a shaveh pruta, you're going to be chayav l'tashlumin. You're going to be chayav to pay back the ken and the chomesh, the fifth, and the principal. If it doesn't have a shaveh pruta, you're not chayav to pay. Amrulo, they went and they told him, lo amru shaveh pruta l'inyan milah bilvad. The only concept of shaveh pruta was only to do with milah, which is basically that he did milah and hekdesh. Remember, milah means you're not allowed to benefit from hekdesh. It's called me'ilah. Okay, like ma'al, it's a rebellion. Aval truma, but to do with truma, eno chayav sheish bo kazait, which means that to do with the chomesh, you're only going to be chayav once it has a kazait. Now, if you're going to tell me that a bashol needs both of them, you need a shaveh pruta plus a kazait. Kevan sheish bo kazait mi baile. You should have said that you needed a kazait, right? You should have needed the kazait. Okay, so he comes and he says, right, as follows. So Kevin Sheshbu Kazait Mibaile, which means that since a person has a kazait, that's what we're talking about. Right? Not because it has a shaveh pruta, because only once it has a kazait, then you're going to be chayav in chomesh, but if it's not, you're not going to be chayav in chomesh. So tiyufta be'emet, this is actually the words of Rav Papa are actually have a stira from the Braita, which means that Rav Papa wanted to come and he wanted to say that a bashol needs both things. He needs shaveh pruta plus a kazait. This Braita is telling you mefurash that a bashol comes and he says that if it has a shaveh pruta, you're chayav. Now, why if it has a shaveh pruta? You need shaveh pruta plus a kazait to be chayav, right? Because if it doesn't have a kazait, you're not going to be chayav the chomesh. So therefore, this is a proof against Rav Papa that be'emet the bashol does not need both things. It's enough just a shaveh pruta, and it's already enough. Okay, ve'af Rav Papa hadabe, and even Rav Papa retracted, and he taught the same thing that a bashul says you're going to be chayav once it has a shaveh pruta, even if it doesn't have the tanya b'tzonot Braita v'chatea bishkaga prat lemezid. When it says if a person is going to sin bishkaga, this comes to exclude mezid. So it says the Gemara valodinu, and it's actually going to be a kal v'chomer. Whenever it says valodinu, it's a kal v'chomer. Umashar mitzvot, just like other mitzvot, for example, the yisur of eating chelev or dam bema, chayev bahen karet, a person is going to be obligated karet, right? Which means, right, that means it's going to be chayev karet if somebody's going to eat a b'mezid. poter b'hem mezid the korban, still he's going to be patur from the korban milah.
Because you already have
Right?
you already have karet.
Because you have karet, milah shem karet, milah there's no karet, there's only mitah b'dei shamayim.
Right.
Mitah b'dei shamayim is one level below karet.
Correct.
That means there's arba mitah bedin, and in the four, right, sekilah serva acherev, right, and then after that you have karet, and under that you have mitah b'dei shamayim. Mitah b'dei shamayim is one lower level, is the lowest level. So eno din shepatar et hamezid, isn't it a din that you're going to be patur the mezid as well, which means from the korban, because right, that's what we have to learn this halakha. So he says lo. Im amarta b'shar mitzvot sheken, right? Sheken lo chayev b'en mitah. Tomar b'milah chayev b'yem mitah. Other isurim, you're not obligated the death penalty. Here by milah, you are obligated the death penalty, right? Tamulomar b'shkaga prat mezid. So therefore, the Torah says nefesh kitimol mal v'chata b'shkaga. This comes to exclude a mezid, right? That there's no chayav korban on the milah. It means if somebody does something purposely, there's no korban chayav milah, right? This is many times we did this purposely because we didn't want them to have a kapara. So since we didn't want them to have an atonement, that's why we said that they're patur from the korban. There's no korban. Yeah, there's no korban. Yeah, there's no korban. We didn't want to give them a korban to the one somebody that does it purposely, because then anyway we don't want them to have a kapara, an atonement. Yeah, okay. Ve'amal le Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak le Rav Chia bar Avin. So says Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak to Rav Chia bar Avin. Hai Tana mi'ikara alima le karet. This Tana at the beginning, right, was very karet was more stringent than mitah b'dei shamayim. Ulvasof aliva le mitah. But at the end, he wanted to say that mitah b'dei shamayim was more chamur than both of them.
Because it's on longer term.
Which one?
It's on longer term.
That's why he's saying, because it's really,
no, it's not because like mitah b'dei shamayim is a longer term.
Yeah, I don't know. Here it says that he doesn't actually explain anything, but this is like, it sounds from here that at the beginning he thought the karet was more stronger, then he decided that mitah b'dei shamayim is stronger, even though we know that the maskana is not like that. Let's see what it says here. So he comes and he tells the this is what it means to say. So Rav Chia bar Avin comes and he says to Rav Nachman Yitzchak, this is what it means to say. No. If you're going to tell me by other mitzvot that the reason why is because we didn't obligate mitah b'dei shamayim, right, on eating it, so he says tomar b'milah, he's going to say by milah shechiyeva mitah b'pachot mikazait, that you're going to be chayav even on less than a kazait, which means we did find that the Torah was more lenient and other mitzvot more than milah, because there's no mitah b'dei shamayim if you eat less than a kazait. So maybe also here, to do with mezid, that you're going to be patur from the korban, right? We can't learn it from a kal v'chomer and from other mitzvot, right? Because basically you can't say be'emet that mitah b'dei shamayim is more chamur than karet, because it's not true, right? Really, be'emet karet is more chamur than mitah b'dei shamayim, right? But there's an extra stringency here, and the extra stringency that you need a kazait, and it's not going to be less than a kazait. So you answer them, Nachman v'yitzat Rav Chia bar Avin, tanuach datcha shinachta et dati. Right, be calm because you calm me down. So he told them, what happened exactly? Right, so he says, the Rabba Rav Sheshat Shadu ben Narga. There's Rabba and Bar Sheshat, they came and they threw Narga as like a gazelle, like an axe on it, which means that they asked questions on it in order to get rid of it. Man Shama le Damar, right? Does anybody hear? And here by Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph for 33:1, does it say that Hezib b'milah b'mitah, that if somebody is going to be mezid in milah, in benefiting from kodshim, right, that they're going to be chayav mitah b'dei shamayim? It's Rebbe. The Tanya was learned on the Braita, Hezib b'milah, Rebbe omer b'mitah, Chachamim omrim b'azara. That means according to the rabbis, there's no mitah b'dei shamayim. It's only a lav min Torah, and there's lashes, but there's no mitah b'dei shamayim. It's only according to Rebbe that you get mitah b'dei shamayim. My tamad Rebbe. What's the reasoning of Rebbe? Amar Rabbi Avu, says Rabbi Avu, Kamar chet chet mitruma. We learn chet chet from truma, which means we learn milah from truma, right? In Gzera Shava. Why? Because it's written chet by both of them. By truma, it's written Shamru Mishmatim V'Yisu Alav chet Umeti V'Kiluchrim. By milah, it's a nefesh k'nomim v'chateah. Just like truma is mitah b'dei shamayim. Meaning, if somebody is going to eat truma, he's going to be chayav mitah b'dei shamayim. So to milah is going to be chayav mitah b'dei shamayim. Umina, and from there we're going to say mat truma b'kazait, just like truma is b'kazait. So too milah is b'kazait. Yeah, so too milah is going to be a kazait. You guys want to just finish until the end of the Amud? It goes quick. It's short.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that way tomorrow we're going to try to do also on Amud and a half, or if not on Friday, so that way we get for Shabbat. Okay, so let's go quick. So it says, huh? can hear you. Umina, right? And from it, matruma bekazait, just like truma is a kazait, af mila bekazait, which means in the same gezerah in itself, we should learn the same halakha. Just like a person's only chayav mitabi deshamayim if he eats a truma bekazait, so to mila should only be bekazait. So therefore, we are not going to come and say that a person is going to be chayav mitabi deshamayim, right? If he's going to eat less than a kazait. Umat kifla Rav Papa, so Rav Papa is going to come and he's going to ask on Rabban Rav Sheshat, how do we know that Rabbi holds like Rabbanan? That they said that in order to be chayav, right, that it says that it's not going to be chayav until he eats a kazait. Dilma kabashol, so maybe he holds a kabashol. Tamar yesh b'shave pruta, according to bashol, even if you eat a shave pruta, even though you don't eat a kazait, you're still going to be chayav. So therefore, basically, the question that Rav Papa is asking is on Rabban Rav Sheshat is, you are making anacha. How do you say anacha in English? You're making an assumption.
Assumption.
Right? What's the assumption? The assumption is that you are saying that Rebbe holds a chachamim. Right? I mean, basically, the milah is only with a kazait. Maybe he holds like a bashul. A bashul said that even if it's going to be less than a kazait, shaveh pruta, you're already going to be chayav.
Right.
Okay? So says the Gemara, do you know kabashul, right? They said the kazait. The heart of Papa, the amar da bashul, right? By tarta. But he says, 1 second, but I thought that you told me that according to Rav Papa, a bashul needed both kazait and shaveh pruta. So the Gemara answers that Shemamina Hadabes. Obviously, he retracted. Meaning the fact that Rav Papa came and he asked this question, it means that he retracted. Okay, because that's all you see that he retracted, and he doesn't. So says the Gemara, more better that you understood why we say we retracted. Because if he didn't retract, what's he asking that he holds like a bashul? A bashul also still says that you need a kazait. So he says no, you only need shaveh pruta because because of Papa retracted.
Between teruma and
Meila. But they asked against that. What they wanted to do a gezerah shava, and once they wanted to do a gezerah shava, they wanted to say just like turma is bekazait, so tumila is a kazait. So they went and said maybe he holds like a bashul. The bashul only says shaveh pruta. You don't need a kazait. So then we asked that if Papa said that a bashul you need both. Answer no, he retracted. You don't need both. More better Ravina says hachi kama. This is what it means to say. No. Ima marta b'shar mitzvot. If you're going to tell me by other mitzvot, right, to do the isur of melechet Shabbat, that you're going to be patur from the chatat. Shelo asa bahen she'en mitkaven ki mitkaven. By other mitzvot, eno mitkaven is not like mitkaven. She'im mitkaven lachtoch et hatarush v'chatat v'mechbar. If you had kavanah to cut something which is detached, right, lichtoch et hatarush, and you cut something which is detached, patur, you're going to be patur from the chatat. Tomar b'milah, that you're going to say that by milah. She'im mitkaven lehitchamem begize chulim mitchamem begize shemal. So you're going to tell me that it's the same thing? Which means that we find that the Torah was much more lenient by other mitzvot, more than milah, because the Torah did not make the kavanah like a kavanah. So therefore, the same thing, which means like this. If you're going to come, what's the concept of the Vashem mitkaven? The Vashem mitkaven means you don't have kavanah to do something. So if I come on Shabbat and I wanted to pick up something which was detached from the ground, it was a flower, and then I didn't realize and I plucked it out. It was attached. I thought it was detached, but it was attached. So what happens? The Vashem mitkaven, right? Now, to do with milah, so there, since it's the Vashem mitkaven, I'm patur from a chatat. I don't have to bring a sin offering, right? I'm patur. So he says, so now what about milah? By milah, when the Torah says, if you have kavanah to benefit from tzemer, from wool, right, of chulin, and at the end you did benefit from wool that belonged to, right, of an olah, of a burnt offering, isn't it that it's going to be mal? For sure it's going to be milah. So Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak comes and he says, Hakima, this is what it means to say. No. Ima Marta, if you're going to tell me by other mitzvot, there's a concept of mitasek or not. That you didn't have kavanah to pick it up at all, and it cut it. So you're going to be patur.
Do Uber give him 2 cases of BGBL?
Right?
Uber.
Understand? Which means that it's going to be of milah. Which means that the concept that we're talking about is that, right? What is mitasek? What is the difference between shogeg and mitasek? Shogeg is I walk into the room and I forgot it's Shabbat, and I turn on the light. Or I knew it was Shabbat. Sorry. I knew it was Shabbat, but I didn't know it was asur to turn on the light. That's shogeg, accidentally. Mitasek means I walk into the room and I didn't even see the light switch, and my elbow bumped into the light switch. That's called mitasek. I was doing something else. I was mitasek in something else, and then this happened. Mitasek is much lower than the Vashem mitkaven, right? Or shogeg. Why? because you're even patur from a korban, because you had no intention whatsoever to do it. Okay, so he says over here, it's like mitasek. Sheim nitkaven, if you had a kavanah to pick up something which is talush and then you cut something which is mechubad, you're going to be patur from the chatat. Tomar b'milah shimoshid. If you put your hand inside of a utensil to take something and then your hand became anointed with shemen shel kodesh, that you're going to have milah. So since we did find that other mitzvot are more lenient, right, than milah, that the Torah did not make mitasek like eno mitasek. So therefore, so too, maybe they were more lenient to do the mezid that you're going to be patur for the korban. So you can't learn it from a kavachomen. So Amar more and more says, when you one of these words, b'mafrish truma ve'chmitza, only if you separated the chametz on the truma on Pesach from truma, and then it became chametz. Aval ifrish chametz truma, but if somebody went and he separated chametz of truma, according to everybody, it's not going to be holy. How do we know these words? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Nachman ben Yitzchak, says Nachman ben Yitzchak, Amar says in pasuk, titen lo. What does it mean, titen lo? Titen lo means velo leoro. Means you have to, the perot which are fitting to become truma, and not the perot which are fitting to become for your fire. Which means if you separated truma from perot to meim, right? So then it's not a good truma. Why? Because this truma is not fitting to give to the kohen to eat. Right? It has to be fitting for the kohen to eat. Here he can't eat it. Okay? So therefore you can't separate the truma from it. Okay, so says the Gemara, Mativ Ravuna Bered Yeshua, As Ravuna Bered Yeshua, Entor Mimina Tamea La Tahor. You're not allowed to take off anyway from Tamea and the Tahor. Vim Taram Meshogeg Tumato Tumam. If you did Meshogeg, then it's going to be a good Truma. Why? Leima Lo Velo Leoro. You should say not for him, not for only, right? Not for a fire, which means like this. If I'm going to come and I'm going to take off Trumat Tamea for Trumat Torah, it doesn't work. Because when it's Trumat Tamea and when it's Tahor, I cannot take off from the Tamea and the Tahor. If I did it accidentally, it's okay. Now the Gemara is asking, but why is it okay? If it says mefurash in the pasuk titen lo means you have to give it to him to eat for him and not for his fire. So therefore it shouldn't be okay. At the end of the day, the Kohen cannot do anything with Tumat Me'ah. He could only put it under his fire.
That's it.
Right? That's it. So therefore it shouldn't be good. So says the Gemara, Lakashi, that's not a question. Hatam hayta la shata kosher, hacha lo hayta shata kosher. There it had a shata kosher. It had a time that it was permitted. Here it doesn't have shata kosher. It doesn't have a time that it's permitted. So because of that, that's why he's saying the difference between them. So therefore, that's why since it was never fitting, that's why you use the word lo. Lo means it was never fitting, right? That's why you have to titen lo. You have to give to him to eat. Here, it was fitting to eat. Just afterwards, it became prohibited because of the chametz on Pesach, whatever it is. But right now, it was fitting to eat. Or when it was truma, and afterwards it became truma tmeah. So if it didn't have shata kosher, what's the case? It became chametz when it was already mechubar lakarka. Aval achmitz v'talush, but if it did get right chametz when it was separated, for sure it should become kodesh. So Amalei, he says in yes. B'gzerat irim pitgama mamar kedishin shelta. B'gzerat malachim hu hadavar, uv'mamar kadishim hu hagzera. B'gzerat irim, this is very famous. Right? In Zohar HaKadosh, you see this all the time. Yeah. So b'gzerat irim is gzera of irin are the malachim. Okay, pitgama, right? That's what the pitgama is, like a word, right? The words. Uv'mamar kadishin, and with holy words, mamar kadoshim, she'alta is she'elata is the gezerah. Okay, that's the gezerah. Okay, it's a pasuk in Daniel, right? V'chen morim ve'midrash hakavatin. That's what they also pass in the better midrash like me. That the brighter is that there's no trumat chala and chametz on Pesach is only in tvua, which actually became chametz when it's still mechubar lakarka, when it's still mechubar. Everyone have a wonderful day.